Welcome everybody. Thanks for taking a listen. We're back with another episode of our mini podcast, and we're here at Art of the Cowgirl. It's the first evening. Things are getting quieted down, and I've been able to pull Miah Chalfant to the microphone to visit with us. So thank you so much, Miah, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this started. So, Miah, can you tell us a little bit about what is your connection to land and to place, and what is the journey you've been on in that connection?
So I am an enrolled member of the Northern Cheyenne Tribe, and so what comes with that is I have been connected to the land for as long as my people have been people. My ancestors, we are the land, and for some people they feel like heavily connected, but for us we are the land. And so if you're not taking care of your land, you don't take care of yourself. And so I grew up on a ranch in Kirby, Montana. It's my family's ranch. We've been ranching for basically forever. And so I grew up doing anything from riding, getting cows in, to seeding the fields with my dad. And so I've had a connection for my 19 years of life through the land and just taking care of it, but then also traditionally through ceremonies and things of that nature.
And I saw that here today at Art of the Cowgirl, you have some of your art on exhibit. Would you like to tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So I am a contemporary ledger artist, and it's a lot of fun. I do a lot of things based around women in agriculture because I feel like there's not very much representation. It's like this whole event right now, Art of the Cowgirl, is like the first I've seen of its kind celebrating women in agriculture. And so I decided to take that as my platform. And I love when people look at my art, it empowers them. They look at it and they see themselves in the scenarios and the pictures I paint. And it's really heartwarming.
So your family's land is in southeastern Montana, and you're making a big decision about education and moving forward into the future. What are you looking forward to studying when you head off to college?
As I head off to college, I would really like to get into agricultural media and communications. I was a rodeo queen 2 years ago, and that was when I was really introduced to it. I was interviewed a couple times, I was on the radio a bunch of times, a whole bunch of different types of media. And as soon as, the first time I did an interview, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Getting to connect with people, you learn different stories, and since my family, we're a rodeo family, we have been in ranching for a while, like I said, and so in agriculture, I get to meet these people that knew my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and it's people I would have never met if I hadn't have gotten into something like this.
Agriculture is a small world, and sometimes it feels even smaller when you're in the middle of it.
It really does, yeah.
So what schools are getting your attention right now?
So I have recently applied to West Texas A&M. They have a really, really beautiful agricultural communications program and a really nice new setup. And of course it's in the panhandle of Texas, outside of Amarillo, Texas and Canyon. And it's really pretty. It's just above Palo Duro Canyon, which is the second largest canyon in the United States, next to the Grand Canyon. And it's absolutely stunning from that point of view, but it's hard to come from the mountains of Montana to flat all the time. And so I have my heartstrings are being tugged by MSU because they also have a nice agricultural communications program, and I'd get to be in the mountains, and I'd only be a couple hours away from home. And so if I needed to come home that weekend to help ride, help ship or anything like that, I could.
So on the ranch and with your family, what are your favorite jobs to do on the ranch?
I am a self-proclaimed ranch, not the manager. I am my dad's go-to, and so I'm my dad's right hand. My dad does most of it, but my sister and my mom help out. But the best part about it is riding, getting cows in. I feel like that's where you really connect with the land. It's a little bit different when you're doing like farming and stuff because it's hot and you just end up hating everything up until you're done. But when you're riding, the saying where like every moment spent in the saddle is a like moment well spent, I've never heard anything more true.
Oh, that's really beautiful, Miah. So what gives you hope? What gives you hope as, we've just come out of COVID and a challenging time, and, here in Montana, a lot of us are in drought. I think it can be hard. So what gives you hope each day, and what gives you hope thinking about your future?
So I live on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation, and we were heavily impacted by COVID. We have a lot of susceptible people that have diabetes and things that were like the main cause if you got COVID that you had passed away. And so it was hard for other communities, but it was like especially hard for us because people were passing away left and right. And so it was a really sad time. And then like you said, we're also in drought. Our creek is like way down. It looks like a puddle. And so it's really hard to see these things. But I would say the thing that gives me the most hope is obviously everybody hopes for a brighter future, and just kind of learning from mistakes and things of those nature, but really the youth in my community, they're amazing, and it's really heartwarming to see kids. I'm only 19, so it's weird to say kids, but really kids like 10, 11, like they're getting into agriculture. They want to take over their family's ranches. It's not something that's been pushed on them. And even people that are a little bit older than me that are first-time ranchers, they're wanting to get into it and take care of the land and just kind of carry on their family's legacies and keep the reservation in a good shape. And so I think that's really what pushes me, is to be a role model for these people that haven't been in it their entire lives like I have. Because agriculture is for everyone. It's not something that should be gatekept for people that have been ranching for generations. It's something that should be open for everyone to be in, because our world revolves around it. And if it's not there, then there's nothing.
So as you're seeing people coming back to agriculture who maybe hadn't thought that was going to be their path, and as you're seeing these young children getting excited about agriculture, are you seeing an older generation that's willing to teach them and mentor them, and what's that looking like in your community?
I would definitely say it is. It's in my community. I see it even now that people are starting to take over their families' ranches, even if their parents are like still moving around good or like still alive and haven't passed, because their parents, their grandparents want them to take care of the land how they did. And so they're teaching them now to pick up like what they're leaving. And so I think that's definitely something that I've seen, and it's people of all ages. They're starting to teach kids that are 5 years old to 30 years old.
That's awesome. And so I feel like I've seen a lot of your mom's pictures of you guys doing cattle work, and what I love seeing in those pictures is a whole pile of young women on horses and helping.
Our ranch is solely run by women and my dad. That's like who runs it. All of my cousins were all girls, me and my sister and my mom. We always joke about it, but really at like our brandings and when we're shipping and everything like that, really there's not a man there other than my dad. And so it's really actually inspiring, and my dad likes to joke about it, but he always says that his group of girls can like outwork any like group of guys on the whole creek. And so I really believe it to be true, because it's something that they want to do, they want to learn about.
Well, I have one final question for you, and I'm asking everyone as we're doing this podcast, this is the final question. What does the word stewardship mean to you?
My mom, April, sees that there's a lot of negative stigma around the word stewardship, and personally, I agree with her on all of it, but like when I think of the word stewardship, I think of, when you think of like steward, you think of somebody that takes care of the land, and so ultimately when I think of it, I think of somebody that is like caring deeply enough for them to like devote themselves to it. rather than it just being something like a side hustle, or like it's their livelihood.
Yeah. Is there any word that you can put to it that feels right to you about that caring for land? Or maybe a phrase? I liked devote. That's...
I think I really like devotion. It is a strong word, but I think it's as strong as stewardship. And so when we're talking like land stewardship, I would say a devotion to the land would be the best way to put it, or somebody that like cares deeply.
Beautiful. Well, Miah, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.
And for any of you who are going to come to Art of the Cowgirl, make sure you stop by and see Miah's artwork. What's the name of the booth where you're at, or how would it be?
It is under the big tree by the pink couches.
The pink
hot
couches.
pink couches.
You cannot miss the hot pink couches. So thanks everyone for taking a listen. We love being here with you all. And if you get a chance, come on down to Art of the Cowgirl. Thanks, Miah.
Thank you.